everybody. It's a nice intimate setting, so while I'm speaking, if you have any questions, just raise your hand. We have an hour, so it'll be good. My name is Loren Baker. I'm the VP of Business Development at BlueGlass Interactive and also a co-founder of the agency. We're primarily an SEO, social media, and paid search agency that basically does a lot of content marketing. We feel that content is the glue that really holds everything together. The same data that you can obtain from your paid search reporting in terms of the different key terms and demographics that are converting into customers can be placed in content, which can be shared socially online, resulting in not only links back to you, but also social citations, which are essentially the proof that there's actually a real person talking about your company and linking to you. Before I get started, I want to give you a little bit of background on myself, because going through this Penguin update has been kind of interesting. I got started in online marketing in 1998 when I was in college. I was interning for someone at the time, and basically we were working on a campaign for a check company. Remember? Do you remember personal checks? Like, people used to write personal checks all the time. Now we have debit cards, credit cards, and everything else. But the check company basically had all different kinds of affiliate style checks. Some were like wrestling oriented, NASCAR oriented, train oriented. So what I would do is I would reach out to publishers at the time, and this is in the infancy of the web, but a lot of fan pages and things like that, and ask them just straight up for a link to our client, or ask them to introduce our client to their readers, or ask them if our client could be included in their newsletter. And that was more or less pre-Google, and it was pre-PageRank. And at the time, we wanted to obtain those links to drive traffic, to get in front of customers, to get in front of an audience, which ideally would click on that link and go to our client's site and purchase. The more pinpointed the link, the more pinpointed the content and the targeting, the higher quality, in our minds, that traffic would be if they click through on that link. Basically, at the end of the day, we were doing advertising or marketing. Then Google came along and changed everything. So I've also, over the past 10 years, I've done a lot of linking. Whether that linking has been through publishing, through building links, through other, questionable ways of obtaining links for various different kinds of clients, personal finance, loans, lending, insurance, everything out there. Dating, a lot of what you see, what you see in the expo hall. So when Google introduced Penguin about 3 or 4 months ago, basically they changed the game with linking. It used to be, if you wanted to rank higher, you would rent links on a sidebar or a footer. Or then people got creative and said, well, let's rent links or buy links or place links in content. Publishers started realizing that they could produce more revenue than they could via AdSense or advertising by placing links in content, and then afterwards building more sites to have more content to place more links. The problem is that a lot of those sites didn't have an audience, and the content wasn't written by real people. So what you had was backlink portfolios that were full of blogs that had no readership, that had no traffic, and had no real bloggers. Basically blogs that were set up just for the purpose of building links. And Google finally caught up. They got smart. In many ways, Penguin was the Panda for the sites that link to you. So Panda, a year and 2 or 3 months ago, basically said, okay, you have too much duplicate content. You're polluting our index with unusable site pages. Well, we're going to, rank you a little bit lower and make you clean up your site. Same thing with Penguin. But the difference is, with Penguin, the links that did point to your site, whether they be from content spinning sites or article directories or fake blogs or spam blogs, they became detrimental overnight, over the course of a week. Multiple different warnings were set via Webmaster Tools, and sites were getting kicked out after 20 days. So, the old way of acquiring links, basically, you can't do it anymore. There may be some short-term ways to, get up in the rankings. But basically, anchor text, brute force anchor text is dead. Links from forum signature files, link wheels, blog networks, bookmarking, a lot of your spam directories. It's not that they don't have any value. They can actually have negative value to your site. It kind of sucks. It used to be very easy to build links. You could just hire a bunch of vendors and send them over some money. Next thing you know, you have links and you're ranking a little bit better. At the same time, Google also rolled out an over-optimization filter, not only on-site, but also with your inbound links too. So all of a sudden, if you look at your backlink portfolio and 60 to 70% of your links say payday loans or car insurance, people have been preaching for a long time that that can hurt you in the long run. But it's like a drug, you get addicted. The more links you build, the better you rank, and then the next thing you know, Google pulled the plug. So, like I said, the problem is now, it's not only that those links are devalued, but they're detrimental to your site and detrimental to your traffic, especially for sites and businesses that depend primarily on organic search. Some basic, Penguin cleanup has become a business in its own over the past 3 months. Filing reconsideration requests, link pruning, going back 4 or 5 years into link portfolios and trying to clean up the bad links. 4 or 5 years ago, these links were fine, or they were okay. Now cleanup is tough. Try going back 4 or 5 years to clean up links that someone before you at a company built, or a vendor that no longer is in business built. It's hard. Sending out multiple emails all day to try to get links taken down is tough. There are some link shops that are now charging people to take down links, and it's so funny because it used to be, you would pay to buy links, and now you're paying to take them down. But it's almost the same. So basically, one thing you really have to look at your link portfolio, especially post-Penguin, is do you deserve those links? Do you deserve sidebar links on a university rugby team page that say car insurance or say loans? Should a student blog be linking out to you? Should your links actually be in every single occurrence of a footer on a major website? And the answer usually is no. Those links don't belong there. Google did a good job of discounting links that you basically don't deserve. And really, moving forward, the solution is doing the right kind of marketing on behalf of your company or your site or your program that's putting out the kind of content that's going to make you actually deserve those links. Now Google's looking at real signals. They're looking at bloggers that have their Google Plus page synced with their account that are writing about you. Social signals in terms of, is this content actually being shared? Is there engagement on the page? They're looking for real signals that show that there's real people actually talking about your brand. When PageRank was first devised, the idea was, hey, the more people that are talking about you, the more relevant you should be and the higher you should rank. PageRank numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7, kind of phase that out. But it's still the same concept. You want to have people writing about your company. You want to have people tweeting about your company. You need to have brand advocates out there. The more brand advocacy you can have and the more you can build up your brand, the higher Google is going to compliment you with rankings, not only for your homepage, but long tail as well. Publishers are being rewarded. Rich content that people share. It's all about empowering your audience. It's putting out the kind of content that someone's going to want to tweet about, that someone's going to want to share, that a blogger is going to want to utilize for one of their posts. And also, again, getting in front of large audiences. There are a lot of great blogs out there that you can obtain links from, but when you get a link or an infographic published, look at the amount of traffic that site has. Look at the amount of people that are sharing that. Sometimes what may look like it's the most high-valued link on a PR 5 or 6 blog may not have any engagement at all. And chances are down the road, that's going to end up hurting you. So, old link metrics are now less important. It used to be you would, who uses SEO book toolbar? Anybody? Or search metrics or anything like that. So it used to be that you would go to a site and you would look at the toolbar to see how old the site was. And hey, this site, this domain was registered 8 years ago. Well, it's high value. I should get a link from it. Problem is that if something is 8 years old, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has high value. If a site has been around for a long time, it doesn't mean that that link is more powerful. If the site has been around for 8 years and people have been engaging on the site and the site is ranking and there's traffic and there's comments and there's shares and there's a newsletter and there's audience on that site, it is highly valuable. If it's a site that was launched 8 years ago and then acquired by a company just to post links on, well, the value is gone. Google can see that there's been no engagement on some of those sites. And what happened was a lot of these link networks that were popping up and that have really been hit hard by Panda are basically drop domains. Hey, here's a drop domain from a real estate site. Why don't I spin it into a real estate blog and put a bunch of links on there? It worked for a while, but not anymore. If the link can't send you traffic, you probably don't want it. It's kind of interesting. Look at your inbound link portfolio and compare that to your analytics. Look at the links that are actually sending you traffic, the links that are actually sending you clients. You're going to want more of those in the long run. It doesn't matter if it's an exact match phrase or not. But if that site has enough traffic and has enough engagement and value that someone's going to click through that link to your site, try to contact that blogger, try to enhance your relationship with that publisher. Chances are that's going to work in the long run. And is the site a hub? Do people rely on that for their news? I would rather have one link from an influential site, whether it be FeedFront or Search Engine Land or Marketing Land or TechCrunch, and then sit back and watch that link spread. Because what happens is it's a trickle-down effect to linking. You get featured on the page or the blog of a top influencer, and then everyone in the industry follows that trend. Blogging is a very copycat industry, and I say that as a blogger, and I've been blogging for years. But if you see your competitor jumping on a news item, chances are you'll jump on it too. Put a spin on it, but if that news item is coming from, say, a retailer or an e-commerce site, or maybe it's a study based upon mobile sales over the past 3 or 4 years, multiple sites are going to pick it up, link back to the source, you're going to benefit from that. Influence the influencers. That way, it's basically working smarter. You get a piece of content out there, someone's going to share it, their followers are going to blog about that as well, and then you're getting many more links from engaged sites with less effort. And the metrics that you really want to look at right now are engagement oriented. So what's the overall traffic of the site? I haven't used Alexa in like 5 years. I wrote it off years ago. Oh, Alexa, it's just webmasters use it. All the numbers are wrong. Check out Alexa, Quantcast, and Compete. Those are 3 tools that you can use to identify sites and get a good clue of what the engagement and the traffic is on those sites. Furthermore, these tools will tell you basically the referring sites that are sending users to those sites as well, the amount of social shares that those sites have. And it really helps you gauge the value of the site that you're reaching out to or trying to get a link on. Also, look at the number of comments per post. If someone writes a post on their blog and gets no comments, chances are they actually have no readers or just a really bad blogger. Social sharing as well. So social sharing is so underrated from a link building perspective, because from a metrics perspective, the more people that tweet or like or even share something on LinkedIn, those are all brand loyalists. And they're basically taking your link or your content or a site that links to you and building out a natural co-citation map. So if someone at Google does look at your site, they see that there's, again, social proof behind that. And, Majestic SEO is a great tool for looking at the average links that each post generates naturally. So going back to that influencer example, if I do get, say, an infographic or a video hosted on Search Engine Land, I can see that one of their posts naturally gets about 150 links to it. That's a co-citation paradise, man. Like, the amount of links that you can get that naturally point to a piece of content that points to you basically supercharges that initial link. Plus, a lot of those links will probably end up linking to you and to the piece that featured you as well. Yeah.
On your third one down on the previous slide, the social sharing, how do you know how much another blog post has been shared socially? I mean, I know I can do things on my own site, see how many times mine was shared. But how do I know that you're a good site to link to and how many times your blog post?
Well, there's a couple ways. One, a lot of blog posts have buttons, so you can see the amount of tweets or the amount of Facebook likes or recommends. Two, look at, if you do a search on Twitter sometimes for that blog URL, you can see the people that have actually tweeted that itself, which is something to look at as well. So talking about social sharing, it's not necessarily a quantity metric as much as it should be a quality metric as well. So look at the kind of people. If your business is targeting the US and you see that the bulk of your shares are coming from offshore, or the bulk of the shares on a blog are coming from offshore, it may not be as influential or that much of a quality signal. If you're targeting offshore, if you're targeting the Philippines and you see that a blog has 500 Philippine likes, then that's great. Because Google's done a really good job of parsing the localization of Google+. So for a while, I'm not sure if it's still like this, but if you set your browser to like Montana or New York or California, and you search for SEO news, the search engine land listing shows the amount of people in that state that have plus one that. Facebook and Bing are doing a pretty good job of that too. So that's, social media is kind of a question in its own right, but sometimes it's really easy to fudge numbers by buying tweets or buying shares, and look into that too, the quality of the people that are sharing the content on that post. Does that answer your question? All right. Search metrics is also a really good tool that they do a lot on the search side, but on the social side, they have daily updates of social signals. So you can plug in like your own site or different URLs and see how many people are sharing that on a daily basis. And like I said, one of the big hits, one of the big concepts that took a big hit with Penguin was the fake blog network. So say if I had a blog about, cell phones, and then I was making so much money selling links on my cell phone blog that I decided to go out and build a network of cell phone blogs, and then more and more and more and more. And then I'm paying people to write content and post it on those blogs to sell more links. What happens then is you have multiple blogs that you really can't maintain, and there's no real author writing them. So ultimately that value was diluted by building more and more and more blogs. So one way that Google's done a great job is through authorship markup. So I'm a blogger. I can set up my Google Plus profile, basically validate my blog to my Google Plus profile, and then anywhere I blog or contribute to, Google knows that I'm a real person. They know what my background is. They know how often I email. They know everything else about me. And they know that, hey, I'm a real person writing about something and linking to something. So look for blogs that have authorship markup. And at the same time, basically what that is, if you do a search query sometimes in Google, you'll see that little picture of someone's face, their avatar. That's almost like having an ad in the search results as well. So those posts themselves get a pretty high click-through rate on their own right. And basically authorship trust, we're seeing that authorship trust is flowing from through the link juice as well. So not only are you getting more authority from having a great link, but you're getting a trust factor, having real people write about you and people that have a history as well. And of course, like I said, in the SERPs, when you see someone's face there, there's a real benefit. It shows that there's a real person writing about you, writing about your brand, linking to you. Chances are people are going to click on it. And, basically, again, I think that's a typo. So at the same time, link building is not a separate strategy. And that's something that's also changed over the past, not only the past 3 or 4 months, but also the past couple of years. So it used to be when I would go meet with a client or a prospect, I would sit down at the table and it'd be like the in-house SEO person. That person would have a link building budget that they would utilize specifically for links or for SEO purposes. Then I'd go to a meeting and it'd be the SEO person and the PR person. Because the PR person was really interested to see what the SEO person was doing and how they were getting all these big wins and getting these publications writing about them. Then it was the SEO, the PR, and the social media person. Then the branding, the director of branding. Then the CMO. And that's the kind of audience that you really need, because then you can get buy-in from stakeholders across the board. Especially when you're working with regulated brands and things like that, but getting everyone on your side to be able to open up that budget is key. And from an affiliate standpoint too, so how many people are affiliate publishers in the room or run an e-commerce site? Okay, so the affiliate space is kind of tricky, because basically what we saw post-Penguin was the affiliates that took the time to build out brands and build out just sustainable sites did very well. And at the same time, the churn and burn affiliates did really well too, because a lot of people got hit, and then you have the churn and burn affiliates launching a site, building a bunch of links, getting kicked out, launching another site. So, but at the same time, the sites that really took the time to put together, or the companies that took the time to put together a site with legs, that has an audience, that has an email newsletter and everything else, did quite well. And at the end of the day, links should be seen as a byproduct of great marketing. It used to be that you would go out just to buy links. Hey, I want some links, or hey, I need to build some links, or hey, I'll reach out to this blogger for links. But the core aspect that we try to bring to the table when we're building links is that we're marketing first. And if you take the mindset that first you're building up a brand or building up a site or building up a vision, at the end of the day, the links are going to come to you. And it might sound corny, but it's true. And I have some really nice case studies to run through. So the best way to really empower publishers out there and get your brand out there in front of people who are influential is through content marketing. So infographics, videos, Instagram photos, it's all a great way to take data and visualize it and put it out there for the rest of the web to share. And basically at the end of the day, what we've seen is great content not only drives traffic, but it also drives the kind of links that you don't have to really ask for. People want to link to you. Whether they're embedding that content or they're sharing it with their friends and family, they end up linking to you because they really want to link to your site because you've provided them something remarkable. And great content is highly shareable. So some of your best infographics out there or videos have calls to action to actually share that, so the readers of the sites and the readers of the blogs can share it themselves. And what you see generally is basically stuff going hot on places that you didn't even intend for it to happen. So, from a content marketing perspective, a lot of links that we see are obtained for the companies we work with are free. We don't have to pay anything for them. They're contextual and relevant. And contextual relevancy is a big part of this. So sometimes if you're on Mashable or some other sites, you'll see an infographic or something that's really, really cool. And you're like, look at this data, it's amazing. And at the end, it's sourced from a site that has nothing to do with that data. And that site is going to get a link to it, and some of those sites are exact match domains or whatnot. But taking data from your analytics and your paid search data and everything else, and taking those words and those terms that you want to target and then transforming them into an idea so the piece of content contextually is relevant to what you want to rank for. Then any bloggers, when they see that content, they'll naturally write about something that's relevant to your company. It's not only the link that helps you, but it's also what someone is writing about and the kind of people that it's getting in front of. So if you're writing something about whether it's the history of car insurance or how texting and driving has, how rates have gone up since texting and driving started, then basically the blogger is going to write something that's descriptive of that infographic. And at the end of the day, what you generally see is that it's highly descriptive. And so you're getting a link from a high content relevant post on a site that's very targeted as well. And good content can pop up almost on a seasonal basis. So one company that I worked with was they were a sports betting company a long time ago, 3 years ago, and we had done an infographic for them around March Madness. And it was all the data and stats behind the different colleges and basically a March Madness bracket and everything else, and it went very popular. And I forgot about it, really, but the client hosted it on a page that transcribed the infographic and continuously added more and more content to that page over time. Then 2 years later, I'm going through their analytics one day, and I see this huge peak. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, did they get featured somewhere? And we haven't done this for a while. And then I saw that it was that March Madness infographic from 2 years beforehand, and this is at the beginning of March. So people were doing queries around March Madness, see that infographic, it reappears again. It's a residual benefit to this. So from a seasonality perspective, making sure that your content is updated and also can be revisited a year down the road, 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road. It's a big deal. And also, looking at a variety of mediums and topics to make sure that, like I said, when people are writing about you, they're linking to you in a way that's highly descriptive and beneficial to you and natural. Don't forget calls to action either. Make sure that, when you do have something that goes hot, whether it's an infographic on your site or something like that, have a call to action. Get that person integrated into your site. So they visit your site once. You don't want them to hit the back button. That's the last thing you want them doing. You want them to scroll down, see that piece of content, and then subscribe to your newsletter or become a fan or hopefully purchase. But you can remarket to that person in the future through your email newsletter and other marketing outlets. And, at the same time, great content relies on great exposure. And, through seeding the content, getting that content out on the sites of publishers, again, is basically the best results that we've seen from a linking perspective. And the larger and broader the reach, the better. Don't get too niche. Don't be like, oh, we only want to have our content hosted on sites that only hit our customers. Sometimes you can expand a little bit more. So if you're working on something sports related or ticketing or whatever, then that's a good field. Yes?
I just wanted to see, when you're working on something sports related, what were you going to say, just not to be too niched in that area?
So, for example, if you're working, say, with, if you have a ticket sales site, or, and you're focusing primarily on, say, football ticket sales with the season coming up and bowl season coming up, you can go a little bit beyond that sport. You can look at the comparison of, you look at the comparison of football ratings and, say, basketball when that season starts, or look at the comparisons between, one thing I like to do is ego bait. So basically, ego bait is when you play to the egos of people, either on a local level or you just make them feel better about themselves. So one of the most popular ego baits out there is, I think, Men's Health. Every year they do like the fattest cities in America. And they rank all the cities where people do not exercise and generally weigh more. And then they do the healthiest cities in America as well. And every year, the top 10 healthiest cities put that out in newspapers, reporters write about it, radio personalities talk about it. But you know what gets more buzz? The fattest cities in America. They get people talking about them all the time. And then, people use it as a campaign to start exercising or whatnot. But my point is that by targeting something, say, like the average attendance of, say, a Baltimore Orioles game versus a Baltimore Ravens game, and comparing cities that have baseball and football within those towns across the U.S. Can not only help you from a relevancy standpoint, but can also get people in those cities blogging that as well. And what better link to get if you're selling sports tickets in Baltimore than a Baltimore sports blogger embedding your work and linking to you? We'll do some case studies. Any other questions before I go on? This is an hour session, so I'm used to working off of somebody, so bear with me, please. All right, case study number 1. This is a content marketing explosion. Basically, we put this out as a branded BlueGlass infographic. Can't really share much of the work that we do for our clients, so I'll share something that we did for ourselves. And this was a great infographic about basically how companies like Coca-Cola and others have embraced content marketing as part of their overall marketing package, even taking some funds away from things like Super Bowl and investing that in long-term content initiatives. We put out this infographic, and basically it was fabulous. I think Mashable had an exclusive, and then multiple other sites picked it up. So we're an internet marketing company. We want to get links that are content marketing oriented from some of the top influencers within search, social media, and basic advertising, right? So Mashable was the first site to embed this infographic and link back to us. But then we had the Next Web, which is almost like Mashable Junior, embedded the infographic as well in a blog post and linked back to us. Then we had various other search-oriented companies like Raven, Unbounce, and others embedded as well. eConsultancy also embedded it, and we also had another search agency embed our infographic on their blog. And what better link than having someone that is basically a peer or a competitor linking back to you. I mean, it's great. So we had a lot of coverage, and it ended up creating a lot of buzz within social media. 884 Facebook shares, a lot of likes, a lot of tweets, and +1s, which is really interesting because you generally don't see so many +1s on a piece, but this was a piece targeting social media and content marketing and SEO, so basically your early adopters were +1ing it. And also LinkedIn shares. Don't forget LinkedIn. I get a lot of great content from LinkedIn and great relationships. It was the content marketing explosion. At the same time, our company acquired an agency called Voltaire Digital, and we subtly placed that within the infographic itself. So we had a PR announcement within this infographic that was hosted almost everywhere. We had this in front of everyone that we wanted to get our company and brand in front of, we did, and it was fabulous. And at the same time, it talked about our company. But it wasn't something that was just obvious. It was subtle. A list of different acquisitions, a list of changes in content marketing and changes in what companies are doing, and then we listed ourselves. All in all, we had 181 unique links back to us, linking to our homepage and our infographic page. At the same time, the original post that embedded our infographic on Mashable had 1,417 backlinks to it. So you're looking at a very natural co-citation map. Direct links to the site and lots of links to the sites that are linking to you. 200 plus links to our services page from 50 plus unique referring domains. So people were linking actually to our services page with a term like BlueGlass infographics or BlueGlass marketing or BlueGlass content marketing or even sometimes content marketing. We didn't ask for it, but they just did it because it's descriptive of the work that we did. And they linked back to a page that basically should be a landing page for that piece. And at the same time, it generated leads. I know a lot of you are probably asking, well, where's the quick benefit from all of this? We generated a lot of leads, 500% increase in qualified leads that day, 300% qualified leads in the week. And if you hit me up after this session, I'd be happy to send you over a case study that looks at a quiz that we did that was highly beneficial from a lead gen perspective. Because at the end of the day, links are great, but links that actually generate traffic and generate execution from a lead perspective are the best links that you can get, because then you're just basically double dipping. Case study number 2. I love this one. Is anyone in the electronics field? Anyone sell mobile electronics online or anything like that? All right. So we have a client that is kind of like a rent-a-center for electronics. If you can't afford a Canon camera, you can go to the site and you can lease one. And you pay weekly and you have a great camera, or you have a great iPad, or a great computer. And basically this is a new company that just launched. And we put together the idea to do a piece, basically an infographic, that's all about how college life has changed and how important mobile devices are to the classroom right now. So the infographics focused on not only things like desk space being different and the amount of iPhones or iPads being used in the classroom, but it also focused on things like the weight of a book bag, how much that has changed over the past 5 years, because you don't have to, college students don't lug around textbooks anymore. My book bag weighed like 30 pounds. Kids now, they have like 5-pound book bags. It's crazy. So basically, our goal was to drive relevant, high-value, authority links back to a site that essentially sells or leases electronics. At the same time, we wanted to see if we could get some really nice .edu links. Because .edu links are great. They're not just great because the end of the domain says edu, but they're great because these are long-term pages that have, again, a lot of interaction, a lot of engagement, and have for 10, 15 years. We promoted this between May 6th and June 7th, so a lot of the data that you'll see is from that promotion itself. And the goal, again, was to gain really high-quality links to a mobile device website. And at the same time, drive brand exposure. So this infographic was also branded as being from our client. The first site to host it was Mashable. So again, another great infographic hosted on Mashable. As you see, 2,000 likes, almost 3,000 tweets, a lot of plus ones, an incredible amount of LinkedIn shares, and a lot of pins, too. And being that the goal behind this was to get the brand out there and generate a lot of links, you may say, oh, Pinterest doesn't link to you. Well, you know what? If I find something on Pinterest, I'm going to go to the source, and then I'm going to utilize that myself. So getting it out there and getting it in front of influencers is a core way to go. Yeah?
What's that bottom social sharing format?
Stumble upon. Yeah. That's their new logo. You like it? This only didn't get a lot of shares, but it got a lot of comments. A lot of really positive comments. People writing about the context that was in the infographic itself. So they're writing about their experiences with iPads in the classroom. Or they're like, trashing new kids for using Skype too much or whatever. But they're writing about the kind of context that we're going after. So an infographic itself, if it's a static image, it doesn't necessarily have indexable content. You can do indexable infographics that are hosted on site, but the cool thing is that basically this post still has people finding it and adding content to it over and over and over and over again. And that means that shows Google that link still has value. And we're really excited to see what's going to happen with back to school and seeing this pick up again and see if we can get more links from it. Because essentially, the old way to build links was to go buy a bunch of links or go build a bunch of links, and then they don't work anymore, and then you build more. And they don't work anymore, and you build more. Build it up, tear it down. Build it up, tear it down. Post-Penguin, you can't do that anymore. You build it up, Google will tear you down. So essentially, you want to stack on to success. You build something that works right now, and it's great marketing, and it's going to work in the long run, and then you build on top of that, and on top of that, and on top of that. And basically, you have a snowball effect of very natural organic marketing. It's not only beneficial from a link perspective, it kills it with social. So it was featured on Mashable, and this is like one of these like promotions where we put out this infographic and we're sitting back and we're watching all these really cool sites pick it up. So Mashable.com, ZDNet picked it up, Yahoo picked it up, Alltop picked it up. Great sites, very relevant. The Yahoo link may go through a redirect, but you know what? It's still on Yahoo and it's still branded. So we're getting it in front of Yahoo users too. And at the same time, you can promote something on Yahoo in the same way that you could, say, on Mashable as well. So if you ask me, like, what are some of the top sites that I would say are top authorities within tech, I'd probably say Mashable and ZDNet. But what was really interesting is that we started seeing colleges pick it up. And not kids that are making $5 to sell links on their school blog posts and Digital Point, but real university student centers, career centers, college centers picking up this infographic and placing it on their blog. Some of them put it in their email newsletter as well. So they put it on the blog, they put it in their email newsletter, and they basically, in some ways, they did our marketing for us. It's just amazing. So, you know, Kentucky, Missouri, Michigan State, West Virginia, these are all top quality schools. Our client got links back, what's that?
Did you send them an email so they know about the infographic, or they just picked it up naturally?
They picked it up naturally from the Mashable post and ZDNet putting it out there and others. And that's where the Pinterest thing comes into play too. So back in the day, it used to all be about Dig. Well, Dig's dead, right? It's killed it twice now. So basically, you know, getting in front of having something go hot on Pinterest isn't going to build those direct links, but it almost gets your brand in front of as many eyes as Dig used to back in the day when you would get a front page on Dig and it would blow up your server. So yeah, this is all a direct result of broadcasting it out there and getting it on some of the top influential sites there are. And all of these link back to our client naturally. And they link back with the client's brand name or the brand name and the word electronics afterwards. And that's just fabulous. I mean, we got links from a bunch of .edu sites that are, like I said, they're not hidden in student blog posts, but they're 1, 2, 3 clicks from the main homepage. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Is there some special way that you can, or is there a way to, like, you can have click to link? You can have a special, is there some special way to make it just so your infographic can be clicked for cameras? Or some part of your infographic?
Yeah, you can. So, well, generally you would use an embed code, right? So the embed code is an easy code to copy and paste, and then it's basically calling up the image file, and then you have the link back to the host site. But you can do things like an interactive infographic that is brought in through an iframe and things like that. One thing to bring up is that this presentation is very infographic centric, and you know, it's very success oriented, but there are some infographics out there that people have snuck buttons into or snuck irrelevant links into and things like that. So generally it's something you don't ever want to trick publishers to linking to you. You want to give them the option to do so. It's almost like thinking of like opting in, right? So if you do something that's interactive, or that if someone does embed it on their site and it automatically links to a publisher without them knowing, you have to have some kind of disclosure or something like that. About 5 years ago, Google burned an online dating site for sneaking links in their widgets. It's the same thing. Anything that tricks publishers, you don't ever want to do. You want to make sure that it's 100% right out in front of them.
Okay, I appreciate not tricking people, but there's 2 points. One, just instead of just sharing the article, can I just have a button that shares the infographic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's the infographic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2, can you do it so that your infographic breaks into pieces?
You know, yeah, you can. You can cut it up. And it's interesting that you bring that up, because basically when you're looking at a piece of content like an infographic, it's very large. It's not going to work if you put it on your Facebook wall. It's not always going to be the best.
Gosh, it's good on Facebook.
It's good if you cut it up too.
It has the height. It actually
Yeah.
makes them higher.
Yeah, it's really good too if you just kind of cut it up and you make it really easy for people to use. So a lot of like this infographic itself, you could probably turn into 4 different pieces on their own. So from this promotion, we generated 51 Penguin-friendly direct links back to our client. And that's over the course of 30 days. Taking a 30-day snapshot using Majestic SEO, 51 direct links back to the client page. Also, it generated 120 co-citation links, or links that link to the website that links to the client. So again, it's that social proof. People are linking to influencers that link to you. And there's another thing that we found works very well too, is that when you are sharing content, sometimes people will pick it up and not link back to you. So sometimes they'll hot link the image, or maybe even take that image and put it on their blog post and link to another site. We actually found that with a client in the auto insurance field. We found that some folks were taking their infographics and putting it on their blog posts and linking to some car dealerships and not citing our client as being the source. So what we do like, one of our final steps with putting this work out there and promoting it is like, we like to call it link reconciliation, or I like to call it link repo. And basically what you do is you find, if you do a Google image search for the file of your work, you'll find basically all of the sites that have embedded that file in image search, and then you can go to each site and see if they're linking back to you or the client or whatever as being the originator of that content. So put a list together of all of those sites that are embedding that image and not linking, and writing them a very nice email. Thank you very much for embedding this infographic. Really appreciate it. It was very nice of you, and we look forward to reading more about your blog in the future. However, I did notice that you didn't mention the source of the infographic. We would highly appreciate it if you would give us attribution. Not asking for a link, not saying, hey, here's 20 bucks, can you link? But writing something very nice, asking for attribution, because that's the thing about Penguin. Google's looking at natural, diverse link portfolios. So you ask someone for attribution, one second, and they'll link back to you in various ways. Sometimes they'll link back to you with the branded name. Sometimes they'll say, click here. Sometimes they'll use anchor text. Maybe they'll link, I don't know, maybe they'll link to your Facebook page or something like that. But at the end of the day, it is driving those links back to you. And those are also the kind of emails that some blogger is not going to copy and publish, you know? They're actually going to usually respond. And we've seen a pretty high percentage of links that are generated from that, because you're basically calling someone out. What was it?
Does that search only pull up the results that are hot linking to your image, or if they copy the image to their server, is Google smart enough to find ones that look exactly like it, like pixel by pixel, or do you have to use 10 items?
It's interesting the way that it works. I have seen images that are hosted on other servers, and I've also seen images come up that appear similar to yours as well. So the color schemes and size and things like that. So yeah, like try it out. It's actually a really cool tool, and you can drag and drop an image into the search box, and it will show all of the sites that have posted that on there. Even like, you know, little image memes and things like that. Okay, and on top of the links, we also saw that the Mashable posts got a lot of tweets, a lot of shares, and a lot of likes, a lot of +1s, and a lot of stumble upon visitors as well. And it was all near immediate improvement. And this is right after Penguin rolled out. So even though Penguin has, or Google has punished the ways that people used to build links and have been building links for years, they still reward great linking. Linking is not dead, but it's just part of a larger component. Really, content marketing is where it's at, because whether your content is an infographic or a video or a podcast or interviews or whatever, it's the kind of stuff that's really going to attract people in your field. On the BlueGlass blog, we try to post, I think a blog post, 4 days a week? And we'll even mix it up with, live conference footage and video interviews and everything else. And it just it builds up a fan base, or it builds up a follower base that then you can leverage for multiple other things. And we've seen companies do this that are in like the internet faxing world, or that are in car insurance world, and just, it's amazing what the fan base that you can build up through really great content. And just look what Allstate's done with Mayhem. You ever check out the Mayhem Facebook page? He has like almost 2 million fans. The guy, Mayhem's the character in the Allstate commercial that blows everything up. Whenever they do a post, they get like 14,000 likes and comments afterwards. It's amazing. So putting your resources into great content is going to not only help from a linking perspective, but it's going to help from a social perspective as well. And that's what Google really looks at, are the social signals and sites that are linking to you. Any questions? Yes?
Do you have any specific tactics to reach out to Nashville to get that initial exposure?
So reaching out to publishers is something that it's not instant. This is basically relationship building, and it takes a lot of emails. Well, what I like to do, and what we like to do, is to really be helpful to the publisher, helpful to the blogger. Tell them that you really like their post. Show them that you shared it on your Facebook wall. Build that back and forth rapport. And also be honest with them as well. Let them know that you're from a marketing company or you're representing a brand. Don't ask them for the first email, hey, can you embed this? But build up that relationship, and it takes time. At the same time, you'll see that a lot of bloggers and publishers talk to each other as well. So sometimes that can spread, especially internally. We have done a lot of social media promotions in the past, and sometimes what we'll do is we'll make sure that we're tweeting out the work of a blogger, not necessarily if they're just publishing our client stuff, but on a daily basis. And people like that. I was a blogger for years, and had a lot of people on my site, but anytime I saw someone sharing my content or talking about my posts and stuff like that, it just felt really great, and people remember that. So, what industry are you in?
Footwear.
Footwear? All right. So sports or like fashion?
All kinds.
All kinds. So I'm not sure how many footwear bloggers are out there, but there's probably a lot actually in the fashion world, and also from an athletic perspective too. But at the same time, you may already have some bloggers that subscribe to your email newsletter or have purchased from you in the past. And that's something that can often be overlooked on a content marketing campaign or whatnot too, is that you can broadcast a message and have that message placed out with external influencers and external sites. But at the same time, if you're investing in the resources to publish videos or to publish an infographic, take that and include it in your email newsletter too, because you're going to hit brand loyalists, people that know your company, people that have subscribed for a reason and purchased from you in the past. And even if they're not a blogger, everyone's on Facebook, man. Facebook, Twitter, they'll share it. And then who knows, maybe they'll get it out there too. So, we didn't talk to these colleges. We didn't have relationships with these colleges, but they saw it because of a relationship that we built somewhere else. And that's part of that. So, yeah, hit up some athletic bloggers, and there's also a lot of runners that write about races and things like that too. Yes?
When you do an infographic, would it make sense to just put it on your website, do a press release, and let hopefully then maybe major sites might see it and say we want to do it, or major sites want to feel they have an exclusive first or something?
Yeah, so I would say no to the press release thing, but basically contacting sites that have that audience and giving them an exclusive, making them feel special. almost like in PR used to do with embargoes, right? But you do an embargo for a crowd of people, and then someone would break the embargo because they wanted to get the news out there first, and who cared? But yeah, giving someone that exclusive first kind of makes them feel special, and at the same time, don't just let that one do the exclusive, then build on top of that. So if you're incorporating press releases, like real press releases, not press releases to hit like Google News when someone searches for your a term. Yeah, so if you're doing a press release anyway, separate from the infographic, what you may want to do is link back to the infographic as part of the press release, and they also give you the ability to upload content to the release as well, so you can tie them together there, but I would not send out a press release about doing an infographic. Get that hosted on...
The press release was about the information in the infographic.
Right. That's actually another really good point, is that a lot of the time you don't want to have everything rely on one piece of content. So putting together a white paper and having a lot of data in that white paper. There's a lot of PDFs and Excel files out there that are on the web that people don't read. I hate downloading PDFs. I don't want to read PDFs, but you know what? There's a lot of good data, and you can take that data and visualize it in a series of infographics that all link back to the PDF or link back to a section of your site that has a white paper that then has a call to action to, say, become an email subscriber or fill out your Marketo lead form or whatever. So there are some ways to incorporate that, and that's something where you would include a press release maybe for the white paper as part of that all-encompassing approach, right? Hit all corners. Yes?
So how do you develop an infographic on a budget, on a shoestring budget? So if you're just starting off with a new website, really can't afford to hire like a marketing individual or company to do that, how do you do it and be effective on your own?
One of the most successful pieces of content I saw go hot on social media was someone writing something out on a whiteboard that was clever and witty and taking a picture of it and uploading it to their Facebook profile. And it just went super hot. So, maybe if you have a shoestring budget, or if you don't have the marketing budget in hand, look at some ways to get out some great content that doesn't cost much to do. You might want to find an intern or something like that, or you may want to partner up with a couple of other publications and pool resources to put something together, or you may want to do something that's super cheap that still is effective. Those memes that you see all the time on Facebook and other places seem to work. Does anyone follow Marketo on Facebook? You guys, they do a great job with like lead gen and sales-oriented memes, and they probably don't cost them that much either to do that. Yeah.
There's also a website called Infogram where you can make them on your own infographics.
Infogram. There's another really cool, I'll have to look it up, but there was a really cool infographic. It was basically make your own infographic, but it was hooked up with your Foursquare profile. So basically I logged in to the site using my Foursquare profile, and it took all of my check-ins and made a really cool infographic about what I like to do. And it basically forecasted I had drank so many cups of coffee in the past year, and it showed a pile of all the coffee based upon my Starbucks check-ins and stuff like that. So there are some good online tools to put things together if you are working on a shoestring budget.
I just looked on Fiverr, and Fiverr has a ton of people that will make infographics for $5.
Really? Well, you get what you pay for. Anything else? Cool. So, this presentation was very infographic heavy, but the idea is that good content marketing, whether it's on Fiverr or whether it's on Infogram or whatever you're using, is going to lead to links that actually still work and that have survived Penguin. And we saw Google torch a lot of different industries. We saw them torch Matt Cutts when he did his blog post. when he did his blog post announcing Penguin, he had a snapshot of a payday loan piece with a lot of links in it. And Google torched the payday loan industry. It torched car insurance. It torched a lot of them. But we saw that not only sites that we work on, but sites that we keep an eye on that do good stuff ended up, getting through Penguin okay. So look and see what people are putting out there and put together some good content and contribute to the web and empower your audience and your members or your fans or your followers to do your marketing for you. Thank you very much.